Hello? 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 Hey, hi, you who's watching this later, because I wasn't able to get this scheduled early enough to be able to catch early viewers. So you are the worm who the early bird gets. So, anyway, I'm here for the press conference because big news 35,000 watching the White House feed. So, it's going up in popularity. We're just watching to see epic failure. Hey, Shelly. First one here. Hey, Johnny Midas. Second one here. Second is the first loser. I've been watching the Tour de France. That's what I was doing right before this. I haven't been live for a little while, but this is a good occasion to go live. And I have this set up. It's playing live, so we're not going to miss anything. Now I can make it, yep, just like that. Oops, play, yep. Live. Okay, we'll get it as early as anybody. As early as, what's his name? Agenda Free TV. What is his name? Gosh, my short-term memory is not as good as it used to be. I think my intelligence has gone down too. Can't tell. Might be age. Might be vaping. Maybe detrimental. He called Zelensky Putin. Yeah, you want to see that? I have that link. He apparently called Zelensky Putin. So we'll see if that's scrutinized. George Clooney called on him to drop out. I got in my exercise today. 2 miles of walking, and it closed my exercise ring. Biden press conference delayed? Oh, no. Bloomberg reporter? Damn, that's... Oh, I could have gotten that news. Okay, so here's a tweet saying this. Biden press conference delayed, Bloomberg reporter. And he says, it's over, the real fly. This is late at night for him. This is not when he's at his best, regardless of what drugs they give him. I don't know what drugs they might give him. People say he has Parkinson's, which is sad. My dad has Parkinson's, so it doesn't make me feel good. Hey, Ian, Will. Sumi and Katie are well, too. Sumi's going to get her teeth cleaned soon, next week. So that's one of those bills that comes up. But hopefully, the main thing is that hopefully it goes smoothly. They have to knock dogs out to clean their teeth. And she's a senior dog. This is the big boy show. Jared Turner, yeah, you guys heard that? I might have links to stuff. I am going to hear it when it goes live, so I'll be able to switch to it. I have the feed playing from the White House, and it'll play in my ears, even when I'm showing a different page. Is my voice getting coarser like Joe Biden's? They say he has Parkinson's. They say a Parkinson's doctor has been visiting the White House many times. I think it's like 9 times. Somebody's asking if I'm streaming. Yes, I'm live now. I can drop a link to my own show, I think. There's a new thing called what should we do I sound sick, Ian Will? Maybe I have the COVID. They say COVID's going around. I shouldn't sound sick. I don't feel sick. I haven't been streaming for a while. I think I went 2 weeks without streaming. Maybe my voice box is stressed. Yeah, it's weird. Maybe I need to get some water to coat my membranes. I'm going to do that. I'm going to show the screen with the feed. Okay, I'm showing that now. Okay, perfect. Oh, I've lost audio. That's what happens. So I'll go stop screen, present screen. I have to show you him calling. Hold on, let me show you this first. This is him introducing Zelensky as President Putin.
Now I want to hand over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination.
Can you hear it?
Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Now I want to hand it over to the president.
He tried to cover up for himself. Did you hear that okay? Let me know. Yeah, you guys heard it? Okay, good. I see people laughing. We're going to beat President Putin. I was just about to get myself some water, so my voice sounds better. Yeah, they say it causes hoarseness in the voice, which I think my dad kind of has too. Parkinson's is a weird thing. It's like it's weird to diagnose, actually, apparently. Apparently there's not like real specific tests for it. Okay, good. Let me get my audio to my earphones. Sound. AirPods Pro. Okay, got it.
Of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Now I want to hand it over to the president.
I'd like to hear the whole thing. It cut off too early for me. I wanted to see how he handled it. If he kept rambling. God, man, what the hell? Joe Biden. He can't win. I can show you the polls. I can show you the betting odds. Let me get a water. I'll show you the screen that he's going to appear on. We'll see if I lose audio. I'm just going to grab some water. See how the camera tries to follow me? Pretty interesting. We're still having a huge sale at our clothing store. So I'll show you guys that before the show's over. We're still having a huge sale, clearance sale. And many styles are selling out. Tell you what you can get is cryptocurrency shirts. I'm looking at those right now. Cryptocurrency shirts are good and cheap. If you guys been buying Bitcoin, I've been buying Bitcoin. Now that I'm employed and have extra money, finally I can think about acquiring Bitcoin. I've been getting some every day. I just didn't today. But I've been buying the same amount every day for the last 2 weeks or so. So I believe in Bitcoin still coming back. So I showed you guys that clip. Let me see if there's more. Apparently, NBC is reporting that the Biden campaign is experiencing a significant decline and slowdown in donations. That's being reported. Apparently, here's the big boy press conference. Okay, I'll show you that. Both Karine Jean-Pierre and John Kirby refer to the President Biden's upcoming press conference as a big boy press conference. Let's see. Lost audio. Yeah, there I lost audio. Okay. Present. I'll close that and present, share screen. Here we go. I have some Trump coin, by the way. DJT on Solana. I bought some, but it's not doing so great since I bought it. Meme coins are kind of down. Well, I have to look at where crypto is right now. Bitcoin's been under 60,000 for a little short time now, but I look at it as a buying opportunity if you're going to hold it long term. But you don't have to buy all of it all at once. You can buy a little bit every day. The secret is I'm Mr. 100.
After that, the president will hold a press conference. I guess a big boy press conference is what we're calling it, and take some questions from y'all.
This week, President Biden will speak to national labor leaders of AFL-CIO, host the NATO summit to show the unprecedented strength of our alliance, hold a press conference, a big boy press conference, according to Justin Singh from Bloomberg.
After that, the president will hold a press conference.
A big boy press conference. According to Bloomberg, apparently. Big boy press conference. So that's what we're tuned in for right now. But it's delayed. So we're gonna have to show you other stuff first, or just chat amongst ourselves. So this is the screen for the press conference from White House, and I lost audio again. Okay, every time I change tabs, I'm gonna lose audio. Gold was way up today. Inflation report came in today. Inflation went down a little bit. So I think people took that as an opportunity to buy gold, which is up over $2,400 now. And silver is up over $31 now. I show you that. This is gold's chart today. I think that must be when inflation numbers came out. So people are saying they're going to cut rates at some point, which would be good for gold, theoretically, even though gold has been doing well with it anyway. Gold had been doing well anyway with the high rates. So that's gold. I'll show you silver. Silver. Let's see. Is it going to load? Oh, yeah. Silver's over 31.6. It went up a bunch today, too. What does the daily chart look like? I'll know when the press conference starts. So that's the daily chart for silver. Not today, but one day, one candle. So it's almost up near the highest it's been. So that's good if you have some silver. Eon Will says, I watched this remote viewer channel. They said silver might crash. Well, it might. So yeah, the press conference is delayed. Read what you want into that. And let me check Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been down, but good opportunity to buy, I think, under 60. Usually it doesn't stay down there very long. 57.4. So it was up over 59 earlier today. So yeah, it's been going down. But it's been going down since I've been buying it, it looks like. So I just keep buying it lower. Although it went all the way down to 55 something. Now it's 57 something at least. Today, yeah, it went up this morning, but then went back down again. So it's just down a little bit over 24 hours. You have a buy order in for 52K. That's good. Not forget. All right, let me see what other links I have to myself. Yeah. All right, I'll show you the different clips I have. Show this. This is Karine Jean-Pierre. What am I showing right now? Oh, this screen, Bitcoin. Yeah, we want Bitcoin to come back up now. So we'll get you that press conference. Let me show you this. Oh, I have no audio, so I got to stop and share screen. This was earlier where Karine Jean-Pierre was asked whether about the doctor that had visited multiple times.
We provide to all.
It's a very basic, direct question.
Wait. Hold on. Wait a second.
8 times, or at least once, in regards to the president specifically.
Hold on a second.
Not what you should be able to answer by this point.
Wait, no. No, wait a minute. Ed, please. A little respect here, please. So every year around the president's physical examination, he sees a neurologist. That's 3 times. right? So I am telling you that he has seen a neurologist 3 times while he has been in this presidency. That's what I'm saying. I am telling you that he has seen them 3 times. That is what I'm sharing with you, right? So every time he has a physical, he has had to see a neurologist. So that is answering that question.
No, it's not.
No, it is. It is. You're asking me.
Kennard,
I
come to the White
cannot,
House.
but I just, I
specifically about the
also said
president's
to you,
condition.
Ed, I also said to you, for security reasons, we cannot share names. We cannot share names.
You cannot
We
share
have to,
names
we have
of
to.
others he would have met with.
We
but
cannot-
You can share names
No, no,
in
no, no,
regards
no.
to if someone came here in
No,
regards to
we
the
cannot
president.
share, we cannot share names of specialists broadly. From a dermatologist to a neurologist. We cannot share names. There are security reasons. We have to protect.
It's public.
I understand that.
looked it up before I came out
I
here.
hear
It's
you.
right there for anyone to see.
Ed, I hear you. I cannot from here confirm any of that because we have to keep their privacy. I think they would appreciate that too. We have to give them,
Patient or the doctor?
we have to keep their privacy.
It is
It's
public.
public information.
I
It is
hear you.
listed that he
I
went
am,
And you're
to
going
the
to allow this to
guys,
fester
guys,
longer, Kareem,
guys,
unless the White House
guys,
answers the
hold on a
question.
second. There's no reason to get
Press
back,
conference
go
is
back
live.
and forth with
Someone
me in this
says-
aggressive.
Someone says the press conference is live. So I will share that tab. I'll probably lose audio. Suzette Ann says press conference is live. Are they showing they're not showing it on the White House feed, which is what I'm watching on. And when you say live, do you mean they're showing the podium somewhere? Sometimes they do that earlier on other channels than they do on the White House feed. They're showing flags. Okay. I think that's what you mean, Marve 2.2. They're showing the stage somewhere. Okay. Should I tune away from the White House feed? Let's see. PBS NewsHour. Let's see. No, they're not showing it yet. PBS NewsHour. Oh, here's a clip that might be longer of Biden introducing Zelensky as Putin. Let's see if we can do this. I have no idea. Nope. There. Okay. Oops. Connection to audio lost. Okay. But I'll still hear it when it starts. YouTube here.
Now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway,
We got to worry about it.
President,
I'm better.
you are a hell of a lot better.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Mr. President, dear our friends of Ukraine.
All right. That's that. Oops, I clicked on
They're going
something.
to use it on campaign ads. It's going to be
That's ABC News. Can't do that. What are they talking about?
all over, Fox News and conservative media as well. But look, the Democrats, the White House specifically, they're not worried about
I
Republicans.
can't stream snipe actual news. Live. President Biden to hold no stakes or stakes are high. See the Associated Press. Yeah, they're all showing some kind of screen right now. I can play you the rest of Karine Jean-Pierre. I better stop sharing. Share again. Share this.
Aggressive way.
Missed around here about how information's been shared with the press corps
What do
about him.
you missed about?
Oh,
What do you miss
everything
about?
he just asked about.
What do you? And then every time I come back and I answer the question that you guys asked.
Correctly, then have to come back and clean up.
I never answered the question incorrectly. That is not true. I was asked about a medical exam. I was asked about a physical. That was in the line of question that I answered. And I said, no, he did not have a medical exam. And I still stand by that. Matter of fact, the president still stands by that. He had a verbal check-in. That is something that the president has a couple times a week. A couple times a week.
Now in regards to Dr. Kevin Kennard.
And I am telling you right now that I am not sharing confirming names from here. It is a security reasons. I am not going to do that, Ed. It doesn't matter how hard you push me. It doesn't matter how angry you get with me. I'm not going to confirm a name. It doesn't matter if it's even in the log. I am not going to do that from here. That is not something I am going to do. What I can share with you is that the president has seen a neurologist for his physical 3 times. 3 times. And it is in the reporting that we share a comprehensive reporting. Matter of fact, it's more than what the last guy shared, and it is in line with what George W. Bush did. It's in line with what Obama did. And so it is comprehensive. It is out there. I just read a quote from it, but I am not going to devolve somebody's name or confirm someone. I'm not going to do that. That is as privacy for that person. I'm not going to do that. It doesn't matter how hard you push me. It doesn't matter how angry you get with me from here. I'm just not going to do that. It is inappropriate. It is not acceptable.
There you go. Not acceptable. So that's in regards to the Parkinson's doctor visiting multiple times. And then, this was the cover of The Economist, apparently, which shows no way to run a country. It shows a walker with the presidential seal on it. Apparently that's real. Apparently that's a real cover of The Economist. No way to run a country. So that's happening with Joe. Apparently the Democrats are testing how Kamala would do against Trump, which I don't think she'd do well. I mean, the election's pretty much lost at this point for the Democrats, I think. I don't think they have anybody who they can slide in that's going to do really well. Trump is ahead by 3 points now, nationally, which he has been for a while. He leads pretty much every poll, every national poll, going back to June 28th. I'll show you that. That's this. So this shows Trump leading in all the polls. And then in key polls, Republicans are winning the generic congressional vote. Oh, wow. It really separated here after the debate. The debate was what, the 27th? Then Biden really cratered so far. And then the battleground states there are now more battleground states because blue states are turning red. So Biden's winning in Arizona. Trump is winning in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. And a lot of them, it's by like 5 points. So it's definitely statistically significant. Yeah, but Michelle Obama, people are saying Big Mike. So who do you think? Maybe I'll do a poll, but I don't even know who to include in the poll. Who do you think is going to be the Democrat nominee? It's got to be Kamala Harris. Oh, wow. Wow, this is crazy. If you look at the poll, the betting odds, Kamala Harris is in second place and leading Joe Biden by a lot. Joe Biden has almost no chance anymore. I should have gotten in on this bet. I said it was a good bet. I think somebody else told me it was a good bet. And I got the idea. If you bought no Joe Biden, you could have gotten no Joe Biden for like 50 cents. Now it's 84 cents. So, and Kamala is the second place. at 28 cents. Yes, 28 cents. Donald Trump's in first, 60 cents. So what I guess they say then, that's a 60% chance. I don't know if it calculates that way, but because the numbers add up to more than 100 once you find all the candidates, once you include everybody. So, but Donald Trump favored to win. I showed you he's leading all the polls. Let's see, nothing there. Press conference still hasn't started. So there you go. Those are the betting odds. That's and on Poly Market, it's even worse, I think. Poly Market. The world's presidential election winner. Here, let's see what it looks like on Poly Market. Hey, we got 107 people tuned in. Go ahead and hit the like button. See here, Trump is more favored, but Kamala's also in second, but not in second by as much. But Joe Biden's down to 10%. So other Democrat politician is 4 cents, 4%. And then you can bet on here with, what do you bet on here with? Crypto? Can't remember. It's a prediction market. Generally more accurate than polling. So Joe Biden doesn't even have a chance right now, as far as the odds go. So do you think it's going to be Gavin Newsom? People don't think it's going to be Newsom. People don't think it's going to be Robert. Oh, well, these are the winners, but still, same thing. If you go to politics, then you do Democratic nominee. Democratic nominee 2024. Kamala Harris at 50%. Joe Biden at 36%. Other, including Whitmer, 8%. Why does it have to say including Whitmer? Oh, because she's not shown here. Michelle Obama is coming up third after other. Oh, I got an order. Cool. Hey, thanks for the order. Whoever ordered from us. Thank you for that. I got a notification on my smartwatch. Thank you for the order. Yeah, check out our sale, Truth Revolution Clothing at truthclothing.io. This is the sale. $7 decentralized tea. You got to be kidding me. We didn't have to sell it that cheap because we're almost sold out of that one. Propaganda tees we're selling out in sizes. Those are $7. Propaganda baseball tee is $10. I mean, stuff's cheap. Here's some $5 shirts. Revolution t-shirt. Bitcoin t-shirt is $5. What was that? I think that just reminded me about updates. Lift the Veil shirts, I think, are $7. Lift the Veil shirts are $7. Lift the Veil Never Normal, $10 for the baseball. $5 for Freedom of Face shirts. Wow, that's crazy. That's a crazy sale. $5 on Freedom of Face shirts. People are wearing masks again. $10 for Dangerous Freedom t-shirts, marked down from $28. $12 for Nassim, the few remaining women's Nassim shirts. Those are just a couple left. I ship to the UK Starlight Sign. Yep. Through USPS. Choose USPS. It's the best. I could do UPS, but it's more challenging. USPS is good. And UPS lost some packages of mine. Hope everybody's doing great. We're waiting on the press conference to start. Got nothing for you. We will begin shortly. It's been 30 minutes already. It's already 30 minutes late. I wonder what the chatter is. Let's go home. See what the chatter is on Twitter. People are showing president's press conference has now been delayed. I don't know when it's been delayed to. I don't know what it's been delayed to. Everybody's sharing the clip of him introducing him as President Putin. Everybody's sharing that clip, which I showed you. And everybody's waiting on Biden. Oh, wow. Everybody's sharing the clip of him calling him President Putin. So I am hanging in tough, waiting for the president to start speaking. I promise I'd bring you this. Lookner, that's the other guy covering it. He will have thousands of people tuned in. So is it supposedly it's been delayed until 7? Okay, thanks, A, in the chat. That's now, so hopefully it's going to start soon. Not very big boy press conference to show up late to. So someone unconfirmed in the chat says it'll start at 7. That's now. It's 4 p.m. where I am. So we're going to see it. We're going to see if he makes it through, basically. Like this could, any moment might be the final nail in the coffin, I guess. Introducing Zelensky as Putin is pretty bad. That's a gaffe. So that'll live on in infamy. It looks like it is on Twitter. So I'm scrolling. Let me see what else I have for you guys, if I have any clips or anything. Oh, Candace Owens is a flat earther. Candace Owens is coming out as a flat earther. I could play that clip as long as we're just waiting. Could start at any moment. Here, this is a flat earth clip from Candace. Oh, no audio? Sorry, guys. I went for 30 seconds without audio. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you. I will reshare. Play it one more time. Now it should work.
Guys imagine being married to me. My poor husband, he rolls over. He's like, "What are you reading?" And I feel like a regular wife says something, I don't know, maybe a love series, Nora Roberts, sweeping her away. Me, on the other hand, he rolled over, he asked me, and I said, "Oh, I'm reading a flat earth theory." And it dawned into an entire conversation. He's like, why are you reading a flat earth theory? And I'm like, because somebody messaged me on Manect about it and they included some links and I'm just reading them. I don't know. I'm just an interested person. No matter what, if there's a bunch of people that believe something, I now want to know what it is that they believe. And of course, he pushed me on this and he was talking about the earth curvature and science. And I said to him, listen, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther. Actually, what I am somebody who has left the cult of science. I have left the mega church of science because what I have now realized is that science, what it is actually, if you think about it, is a pagan faith.
There we go. So I think you guys heard it that time. Gen X says no audio on clip, but I think you're the only one because other people would have been complaining. I think people heard it, but we are good. We have audio. We're waiting for Biden to speak. It says we will begin shortly still. So I had that saved. Oh, I have Joe shaking a hand weird. Oh, I got another order. Thank you for the order. Truth Clothing. We'll be shipping out those shirts to you. I got to order more bags to ship in, I think. Been shipping so many recently. People are buying out our stuff. Truthclothing.io. Hey, Kat, no problem. I hope you're doing good, Nate. Thanks for the shirt. Yep. I sold 9 cars last month, so I'm back in the game. Although I only have 1 out this month so far. It's already the 10th, I think. 11th today. So I got to get some more out. But over $1 million worth of inventory for sure. So that was good. Good month last month. Didn't have much time for streaming. Missed a few days. Yeah, that's not too bad, right? So, had a decent month. Got to get back at it this month, though. Jiddo G says, some are saying it's canceled. Okay. Well, the White House is still running the feed. We'll see. The audio will probably go out, but the White House is still showing this. So some are saying it's canceled. I'll keep my eye on Twitter. Thank you, people in the chat, congratulating me. But just got to do it again every month. One good deal though so far. So here we are. We're waiting for Joe Biden to begin speaking. This should be where it shows up. People are saying it's past his bedtime. Yep, it is. He supposedly only functions between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. I think I told you that George Clooney turned on him. George Clooney wrote an op-ed about Biden saying he should drop out. And he was a major fundraiser. I think he said that at the last fundraiser, Biden wasn't doing so great. I think that's what he said. So he hosted a major fundraiser. And now they say Joe's not bringing him money. The betting odds are totally against him. They're in favor of Kamala. Ah, I got a fly. Did you see it land on my nose? Thanks, Dirty South Couture. Yeah, I'm doing what I can. Wake up, put one leg in front of the other, etc. I drink a lot of coffee during the day. We have a coffee machine, so that's good. People are saying he's getting pumped up full of drugs right now. That's what people are saying in the chat. I can't verify. What is he really going to go? I have Joe doing a weird arm stroke. I'll show you that. Since I got nothing else to show you. It's already 4:11 my time, 7:11 Eastern time. Okay, I got to stop sharing. So here's this weird arm rub. See the arm rub? It's really strange. So that happened. Let's see what else I have. Oh, Pelosi started to turn on Joe. NBC. Okay, so I'll just give you more clips of what I have. I'll probably keep losing audio. Yep, lost audio. So I'll share again. Okay, close that. Pelosi turning on Joe Biden.
So we have all these things that he was masterful in helping to orchestrate, to write, and to pass. So he has a vision, he has knowledge, he has judgment, he has a strategic thinking, and the rest. He has a bad night. Now, again, I think it's a legitimate question to say, is this an episode or is this a condition? So we have all these things that he was masterful in.
Is this an episode or is this a condition? So she says it's fair to ask. She apparently is calling on him to drop out. The news came out. It was the same day. They said Pelosi and I have this fly all over me. Pelosi and Clooney turn on Joe because Pelosi said he's got a decision to make. So she didn't say, and because, she shouldn't say he has a decision to make, since he already said he made his decision that he's going to stay in it. So she said that. Here's NBC throwing Joe Biden under the bus. I'll show you that. Flies all over me today. It's a little hot outside. We have a fire nearby. Thank you, people, for being concerned for me. There's a fire somewhat nearby in I think it's in Santa Barbara County. So it's one county down from my county. But we do have a big fire going on. Here is Meet the Press turning on.
It is
Joe
yet
Biden.
another extraordinary moment in the 2024 election cycle, with Democrats in a state of crisis after President Joe Biden delivered a disastrous debate performance that fueled voters' top concerns about his age and ability to serve another 4 years in office. Not since the first Nixon-Kennedy debate in 1960 has a debate had as much potential to shake up a presidential race. This morning, there is widespread panic within the Democratic Party and questions about whether the president should drop out of the race.
I think it was a disaster. I think it was like maybe the worst debate I've ever seen in my entire life.
I do think people feel like that we are confronting a crisis.
There are going to be discussion about whether he should continue. At first, it was shocking, then it was scary, then it was sad, and by the end, it was absurd. Is the riskiest path sticking with Joe Biden, or is the riskiest path saying we want...
Marcus Conte is here. What's up, Marcus? Hey, man. You say less than 5 minutes? That's good. Okay. Press room is full, so you're watching some feed where they're showing the podium, I guess. Thanks for the update. Less than 5 minutes would be good. I'm filling time, though, in the meantime. The morning report, Marcus Conte. Here we go. Hopefully things are going okay. Pink umbrellas, right? Marcus Conte and Jason Goodman got into it before.
You want someone else. And anybody who says that that is not a tough call right now is full of...
On Friday, in a stunning move, the New York Times editorial board called on President Biden to serve his country and drop out of the presidential race. NBC News has learned that President Biden is expected to address his campaign with his family at Camp David. That's according to 5 people familiar with the matter. Now, he and First Lady Jill Biden arrived there late last night to join their children and grandchildren in a trip planned before Thursday's debate. The campaign was always going to be a topic of conversation, but now undoubtedly Thursday's debate will be front and center. Senior advisor Anita Dunn addressed the matter on Saturday.
You all did not have any kind of conversations about, should Joe Biden drop out of this race?
The conversation that we had is, okay, what do we do next? Mm-hmm. Okay, that is, if there's one thing that we're about, it's, okay, Barack Obama said bad debates happen. We had a bad debate. What do we do next? And, the president, above all, is focused on what do we do next? What do I need to go do?
President Biden, who agreed to the earliest general election debate in modern political history, had one goal: to persuade voters who are skeptical about his age and fitness for office that he is up to serve another 4 years. Mr. Biden has consistently told voters, watch me.
If I were to run, I think they're going to judge me on my vitality. Can I still run up the steps of Air Force Two? Am I still in good shape? Do I have all my faculties? Am I energetic? I think it's totally legitimate for people to ask those questions. This is for the voters to decide. Take a look. Look at me, see if I have the energy, see if I know what I'm talking about, and make their judgment. I think it's a legitimate thing to be concerned about anyone's age, including mine. I think it's totally legitimate. But I think the best way to make the judgment is to watch me.
Well, on Thursday night, voters watched the president deliver a halting performance, at times appearing confused.
Those were all old clips of him from years ago. See how much better he was? It's crazy. That's back when people thought he was totally senile, too. I mean, it's really crazy how you adjust to how bad he is, the condition he's in.
Confused and repeatedly losing his train of thought.
making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
The look from Trump is also so priceless. It's that they had the split screen, and Trump is like, well, what? What are you talking about? I love that. Then he pretends nothing happened. Some people say Biden's wearing a mask. I'm not going that far. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. So he's 45 minutes late, 50 minutes late. I've been streaming for 45 minutes and I was late. I thought I wasn't going to make it in time. I had to rush home just to fire up the stream. So cool. We have 111, 112 people tuned in. Good to see you guys. We're here to see the collapse of Joe Biden. But yeah, weird that it's delayed. I wonder what the chatter is now. He's almost, it's been delayed again until 7:30. Wow, 10 more minutes. Oh, wow. Disclosed TV is reporting that dozens of Democratic lawmakers are reportedly to issue statements calling for Biden to step out of the race, says CBS. Oh, wow. That's from 12 minutes ago. Disclosed TV. So this is definitely the biggest news. Trump's been just quiet. He's just chilling, just watching it all happen. It's pretty smart. I mean, Trump is doing things pretty intelligently, I think. He's staying out of it because he doesn't need to say anything because the Democrats are all saying stuff. George Clooney is writing op-eds. So now it's delayed until 10 minutes from now. Wonder what's going on. Maybe he's not feeling well. Maybe they're considering not putting him on stage. I don't know. Dozens of Democratic lawmakers are reportedly to issue statements calling for Biden to step out of the race, says CBS. All these clips. So watch Zelensky's reaction as Biden calls him Putin. Let's see.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination.
Cocaine.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. You can beat President Putin. And now I want to hand it over to the president.
Pretty bad cover up. Oh, thanks, Job for 9. Look at that. $20 super chat. That's cool. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. When I get it, I'll put it towards some Bitcoin probably. I appreciate that, Job for 9. Who says, please smash the like. It is free and support LTV with some cash. Thanks for the live, Nathan. Thanks, Job for 9. $20 super chat. That's huge. I don't even ask. I used to have my Buy Me a Coffee. You can still support me at buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil if you want. But mainly you want to go to our sale and get a t-shirt or something. So then you get something for it. Truthclothing.io. We're having a sale. All right, let's take a look at the chat. Should I run a poll of some sort? Polls are supposed to be good. They're interactive. I could run a poll asking who you think the nominee is going to be. But I think there's only a few choices. Biden, Kamala, and then Gavin Newsom, I guess. Or Whitmer or some other, or Pritzker. But those are unlikely as all hell. I think mostly they're saying it's going to be, mostly they're saying it's going to be Kamala. Oprah, Michelle, or Harris, says Marcus. Oprah, yeah, that'd be a good one. She's talked about it before. Oprah. She lives nearby. She lives in Santa Barbara County, I think, near Ojai. I think she lives near Ojai. It's nice there. Near Ojai. Maybe Montecito. Same as the Prince and Princess. Harry. Harry and Meghan. They live nearby too. Kind of nearby, within an hour and a half or so. 4:24. So here they go. They say it's supposed to start soon. Jeff 9 says she lives next to them, next to Harry and Meghan. Yeah. Filling time. Showed you guys what's going on Twitter. They said they delayed the press conference. In other news, the U.S. Senate blocked the SAVE Act, which would have required U.S. proof of citizenship. Wow. I mean, it's like literally every single tweet is about him calling him President Putin. Just in, the news conference has been delayed until 7. Now it's delayed until 7:30. Look at that Biden-Harris model. Nice eyebrows. Very inclusive. Is that a... Oh. No, it's not a trans person. I think I can tell. Smaller hands. 4XL. Biden-Harris store. White House now saying 7:30 press time, so 2 hours after it was originally scheduled. I think it's just 1 hour. 1 hour delayed. I thought it was supposed to start at 6:30. Oh, well. Oh, look. Delayed is trending. Wow. Delayed is trending. Everybody's waiting on the press conference. Delayed big boy press conference. Press conference delayed due to a major blowout, it says. Wonder what that means. Two hours delayed. Jeez. Oh, and it has teleprompters now. They have teleprompters. This says 2 hours delayed, teleprompter set up, saying it's not an unscripted performance. It's originally supposed to start at 5:30, really. See, I only knew about it when it was supposed to start at 6:30. Thanks, Gigi. $10 super chat. Appreciate that. That's nice. Thanks for that super chat. Appreciate you. Hey, I'm doing something. I'm working on my day off. That's good. So delayed is trending. It's been delayed 3 times, they say. Laura Loomer says his motorcade arrived at the convention center where he's having a press conference. The press room is apparently full. People who've seen it are saying. Focusing on what can be, unhindered by what has been. Big boy press conference. These may be Biden's last moments as the Democrat nominee, says George on Twitter. Here we go. Here we go. Hold on. Shit. Here it is.
Well, good evening. We just concluded this year's NATO summit, and the consensus among members was it was a great success. It's especially momentous because it represented the 75th year, the most important
especially momentous, he said.
In the world's history of the world.
Oh, he's not doing
We
good.
should never forget that NATO grew out of the wreckage of World War II, the most destructive war in history. The idea was to create an alliance of free and democratic nations that would commit themselves to a compact of collective defense. Standing together, they knew we'd all be safer. An attack on one would be treated as an attack on all. And it's worked because a would-be aggressor knows they attack one of us, they'll be attacked by all of us. Sending that message is the best way to deter aggression and prevent wars in the first place. For those who thought NATO's time had passed, they got a rude awakening when Putin invaded Ukraine. Some of the oldest and deepest fears in Europe roared back to life because once again, a murderous madman was on the march. But this time, no one cowered in appeasement, especially the United States. We collected intelligence that Russia was planning to invade Ukraine months before the invasion. I directed the intelligence community to be a significant amount of intelligence be declassified so I could start building an international coalition to oppose the invasion. Then in February,
Is that it?
some of you remember, I warned the world that the invasion was imminent. I rallied a coalition of 50 nations from Europe to Asia to help Ukraine defend itself. Many foreign policy experts thought as Putin amassed Russian forces just 100 miles north of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, but Putin thought it was the mother home of Russia. The capital would fall in less than a week. But the Ukrainian people, backed by a coalition to help build, stopped them. Today, Kyiv
He's not doing well
stands.
with the teleprompter already.
And NATO stands stronger than it has ever been. During the week of this summit, several heads of states made it a point in their statements to thank the United States and to thank me personally for all that NATO has achieved. NATO is not only stronger, NATO is bigger because we led the charge to bring in Finland and Sweden into the alliance. And it makes a gigantic difference. Excuse me. Meanwhile, my predecessor has made it clear he has no commitment to NATO. He's made it clear that he would feel no obligation to honor Article 5. He's already told Putin, and I quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." In fact, the day after Putin invaded Ukraine, here's what he said. It was genius. It was wonderful. Some of you forgot that, but that's exactly what he said. But I made it clear, a strong NATO is essential to American security. And I believe the obligation of Article 5 is sacred.
Anybody know how long this press conference is supposed to be?
Article 5 is invoked only once in NATO's long history, and that was to defend America after 9/11. I made it clear that I will not bow down to Putin. I will not walk away from Ukraine. I will keep NATO strong. That's exactly what we did, and exactly what we'll continue to do. Now, the future of American policy is up to the American people. This is much more than a political question. It's more than that. It's a national security issue. Don't reduce this to the usual testament that people talk about, issues of being a political campaign. It's far too important. It's about the world we live in for decades to come. Every American must ask herself or himself, is the world safer with NATO? Are you safer?
Hopefully you guys
Is your
can
family
hear
safer?
okay.
I
Audio's
believe the
okay.
American people know. The answer to all those questions is yes. And I believe the American people understand that America is stronger because of our alliances. I believe the American consensus from Truman to Reagan to me still holds today. America cannot retreat from the world. We must lead the world. We're an indispensable nation, as Madeleine Albright wrote. Now let me turn to three other key issues. Just this morning, we had a great economic report showing inflation is down. Overall prices fell last month. Core inflation is the lowest it's been in 3 years. Prices are falling for cars, appliances, and airfares. Grocery prices have fallen since the start of the year. We're going to keep working to take down corporate greed to bring those prices down further. Meanwhile, Trump's calling for a 10% tariff on everything Americans buy, including food from overseas, vegetables, and other necessities. And economists tell us that would cost the average American working family another $2,500 a year. It's a tax of $2,500 a year. Second, our efforts to secure the border, southern border, is working. After Trump killed the bipartisan effort to secure the border, Republicans and Democrats had worked on, because he thought it would benefit me and make him a loser, Republicans walked away. So I took executive action last month. As a consequence, working with Mexico, border encounters have gone down over 50%. The current level is lower today than when Trump left office. Third, for months, the United States has been working to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, to bring the hostages home, to create a path for peace and stability in the Middle East. 6 weeks ago, I laid out a detailed plan in writing. It was endorsed by the UN Security Council, the G7. That framework is now agreed on by both Israel and Hamas. So I sent my team to the region to hammer out the details. These are difficult, complex issues. There's still gaps to close. We're making progress. The trend is positive, and I'm determined to get this deal done and bring an end to this war, which should end now. Let me conclude where I began. We're the United States of America.
All right, here it comes.
We are
Questions.
an indispensable nation.
Let's see. They
Our
say this
leadership
is
matters.
the defining
Our
moment.
partnerships matter. This
Like
moment matters.
every single
We must
thing.
rise to meet it. With that, I'll take your questions.
All
I've
right,
been
here we
given
go.
A list of people to call on here. Reuters, Jeff Mason.
I've been given a list of people to call on.
Mr.
as
President,
usual.
your political future has hung over the NATO summit a little bit this week. Speaker Pelosi made a point of suggesting that your decision on whether to stay in the race was still open. George Clooney and a handful of lawmakers have called on you to step aside. Reuters is reporting tonight that UAW leadership is concerned about your ability to win.
UAW just endorsed me, but go ahead.
Thank you. My question for you is, how are you incorporating these developments into your decision to stay? And separately, what concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president.
Wow.
So let's start there.
There you go.
Number one. The fact is that the consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again. Secondly, the idea, I served in the Senate a long time.
What? Oh.
The idea that senators and congressmen running for office worry about the ticket is not unusual. And I might add, there are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have now, later in the campaign. So there's a long way to go in this campaign. And so I'm just going to keep moving. And because, look, I got more work to do. We got more work to finish. There's so much, we made so much progress.
He called Kamala Harris Trump.
Think about where we are economically
Vice President
relative to the
Trump.
rest of the world. Name me a world leader who wouldn't want to trade places with our economy. We've created over 800,000 manufacturing jobs, 1.5 million. I mean, so things are moving.
Oh.
We got more to go. Working class people still need help. Corporate greed is still at large. Their prices, the corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. They're coming down. And so I'm optimistic about where things are going. Danny Kemp, AFP.
Thanks, Job for 9. Thanks for the super chat.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I don't need to clip it because
I wanted to
everybody
ask
else
you
will.
about your, you mixed
He
up
just said Vice
President's
President Trump.
Zelensky and Putin earlier today. And you now have sort of your key allies, including the British Prime
now
Minister,
you
the
just
President of
mixed up
France,
Kamala
the
Harris to
German
Donald
Chancellor
Trump.
having to step in and make excuses for you on that. And officials here are saying off the record that your decline has become noticeable. Hasn't this now, frankly, become damaging for America's standing in the world? Thank you.
Did you see any damage to our standing in my leading this conference? Have you seen a more successful conference? What do you think? And the Putin piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, here, I mean, Putin. I said, oh, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky. And then I added 5 other names. Look, guys, the idea anybody suggests that
oh no,
we haven't had an incredibly successful conference. How many times did you hear in that conference? I know it sounds too self-serving, but other leaders, heads of state, in thanking me, saying the reason we're together is because of Biden, because Biden did the following. Look, folks, this is well, anyway, I thought it was the most successful conference I've attended in a long time, and find me a world leader who didn't think it was. Next one, Nancy Cordes, CBS.
Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned other instances in history where presidents have faced a challenge, but what makes this moment in history so unique is that it is not your enemies who are calling on you to reconsider your decision to stay in the race. It's your friends, supporters, people who think you've done a great job over the past 4 years. Have you spent time thinking about what it would mean for your legacy, which you've worked decades to build, if you stay in the race, despite the concerns that voters say they have, and you lose to someone who you yourself have argued is unfit to return to the Oval Office?
Well, look, I'm not in this for my legacy. I'm in this to complete the job I started. As you recall, understandably, many of you and many economists thought my initial initiatives that I put forward, can't do that, it's going to cause inflation, things are going to skyrocket, the debt's going to go up. What are you hearing now from mainstream economists? 16 economic Nobel laureates said I've done a hell of a job. That under my plans so far and what's going to happen in the future if I'm reelected, that things are going to get much better. Our economy is growing. I was determined when I got elected to stop the trickle-down economic theory, that if the wealthy did very well, everybody else would do well. My dad was a well-read, decent guy. I don't remember much trickling down on his kitchen table. Middle-class people and working-class people need help. And so what happened is I decided to was able to implement as president what I believed when I was a senator. And that is that the way to build this economy is from the middle out and the bottom up. That way we grow the economy. And the wealthy still do very well. They do fine. And guess what? Find me an economist, a mainstream economist who said we haven't done well. What have we not done that isn't working right now? And so we got more to do, though. We got to finish the job. And by the way, I come from the corporate state of the world. Delaware has more corporations registered in Delaware than every other state in the nation combined. I'm not anti-corporate, but corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic, doubled. It's time things get back in order a little bit. It's time, for example, if I'm reelected, we're going to make sure that rents are kept at 5% increase of corporate rents for apartments and the like and homes are limited to 5%.
Pretty bad, right?
We're going to make a lot of changes that I've been talking about because we're going to continue to grow this economy. And by the way, I know, remember how I got so roundly criticized for being so pro-union, not labor, union. Well, guess what? I've been the most pro-union labor president in history. Not a joke. And guess what? We had the Treasury Department do a study.
Guess what?
When unions do better, everybody does better.
Oh, no.
Everybody does better. And we talk about how, for example, remember when we talked about getting the computer chip industry back in the United States? Used to be 40% of the industry. We invented the chip 40% of the industry is in the United States, and former presidents decided that the best way to do it is find the cheapest labor in the world, send the product over there, and import what the product was. And so what did I do? I was told not to go over to Europe, to Asia, including Europe, but Asia. And I remember going to South Korea, convincing them to invest $20 billion in the United States to build computer chip factories.
Oh, wow.
And I asked why when they finally decided to do it. And the answer was because you have the safest economy in the world, and you have the best workers in the world. So the whole idea here is we've invested, there's over $50 billion in investment in computer chip manufacturing just coming in the bean. None of you thought that would happen. None of you thought that would happen. But it's happening. It's happening. And it's going to grow economies. All through, and by the way, red states and blue states. Manufacturers as much in red states as blue states. I've made no distinction. So my generic point is that the idea that we can't continue to build and grow the economy, make it fairer. And like I said, from my standpoint, when the middle class does well, that's when the whole economy grows. The poor have a shot, the wealthy do well, but the wealthy got to start paying their taxes.
As a follow-up, sir, you mentioned that your Vice President Kamala Harris would be ready to serve on day one. Can you elaborate on that? What is it about her attributes and her accomplishments over the last 4 years that make her ready to serve on day one if necessary?
First of all, the way she's handled the issue of freedom of women's bodies to have control over their bodies. Secondly, her ability to handle almost any issue on the board. This was a hell of a prosecutor. She was a first-rate person, and in the Senate, she was really good. I wouldn't have picked her unless I thought she was qualified to be president. From the very beginning, I made no bones about that. She is qualified to be president. That's why I picked her. Felicia Schwartz, Financial Times.
Financial Times is going after
Thank you,
him.
Mr. President.
Here we
Presidency
go.
is the most straining job in the world, and it's 24/7. How can you say you'll be up for that next year, in 2 years, in 4 years, given the limits you've acknowledged that you have today?
The limits I've acknowledged I have?
There's been reporting that you've acknowledged that you need to go to bed earlier and your evening around 8.
That's not true. Look, what I said was, instead of my every day starting at 7 and going to bed at midnight, it'd be smarter for me to pace myself a little more. And I said, for example, the 8, 7, 6 stuff, instead of starting the fundraiser at 9 o'clock, start at 8 o'clock. People get to go home by 10 o'clock. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, and if you looked at my schedule since I made that stupid mistake in the campaign, in the debate, I mean, my schedule has been full bore. I've done, where's Trump been? Riding around in his golf cart, filling out his scorecard before he hits the ball? I mean, look, he's done virtually nothing. And I have, I don't know how many, don't hold me to it, roughly 20 major events. Some of them with thousands of people showing up.
Really?
And so I just think it's better. I always have an inclination, whether I was playing sports or doing politics, just to keep going, not stop. I just got to just pace myself a little more. Pace myself. And the next debate, I'm not going to be traveling into 15 time zones a week before.
Oh, wow. It wasn't
Anyway,
a week before. It was
that's what
12
it was about.
days.
That's what it's about. And by the way, even with that, I love my staff, but they add things all the time. At the very end, I'm catching hell from my wife for that. Anyway.
Here we go. Wow. Anyway.
I'm sorry. Zeke Miller, Associated Press.
Thank you, Mr. President. 2 questions for you. First, on the NATO summit, President Zelensky, in your meeting with him, he pressed you to lift your limitations on the Ukrainian use of American weapons, saying that, in his public remarks afterwards, saying that Ukraine cannot win the war unless those limitations are lifted. Are you reconsidering your position on that? And then secondly, following up on Felicia's question there, leaders of your own party have said that They're not worried about that debate. They're worried about the next bad night and the bad night after that. How can you reassure the American people that you are up to the task and that there won't be more bad nights at a debate stage or somewhere else?
First thing about Zelensky asking for the ability to strike deep into Russia. We've allowed Zelensky to use American weapons in the near term and the near abroad into Russia. Whether or not he has, he should be attacked. For example, should Zelensky, he's not. But if he had the capacity to strike Moscow, strike the Kremlin, would that make sense? It wouldn't. The question is, what's the best use of the weaponry he has? And the weaponry we're getting.
They changed sign language
I've gotten a more
interpreters. It was a
long-range
guy.
capacity.
Well, when did
as
that
well as
happen?
defensive capacity. And so our military is where I'm following the advice of my
Why did they
commander in
change
chief,
interpreters?
the chief of staff of the military, as well as the
The
secretary
other
of
guy
defense
couldn't
and our
follow it.
intelligence people. And we're making a day-to-day basis on what they should and shouldn't go, how far they should go in. That's a logical thing to do. Second question related to
Bad nights, sir. How can you reassure the American people that you won't have more bad nights, whether they be on a debate stage or it's a matter of foreign policy?
Well, I tell you what, the best way to assure them is the way I assure myself. And that is, am I getting the job done? Am I getting the job done? Can you name me somebody who's gotten more major piece of legislation passed in 3.5 years? I created 2,000 jobs just last week. So if I slow down, I can't get the job done. That's a sign that I shouldn't be doing it. But there's no indication of that yet. None.
Yet, he said.
Who I got here? Merrick, Pulaski Radio.
Thank you, Mr. President. How are you?
I'm well.
The elections in the US have consequences around the world. You have pretty high standing in Europe. I just asked President Macron about you, and he said we are happy to have him as the President of the United States. But there is a concern. Many people in Poland and across Europe are worried that the former president may win the election. And there's a lot of concern that Donald Trump may weaken NATO, stop supporting Ukraine, or push Ukraine to give up territories to Russia.
They're correct.
And yourself was warning just 2 minutes ago about it. So my question is, do you think that Europe will be left on its own if Donald Trump wins the election? And what's your advice to European leaders to prepare for possible US disengagement?
Well, look, I think, how can I say this without sounding too self-serving? I'm not having any of my European allies come up to me and say, Joe, don't run. What I hear them say is, you've got to win. You can't let this guy come forward. It'd be a disaster. It'd be a disaster. I mean, I think he said in one of his rallies, don't hold me to this, recently, where NATO, I just learned about NATO or something to that effect. Foreign policy has never been his strong point.
Don't hold me to this.
And he seems to have an affinity to people who are authoritarian. That worries, as I tell you from Poland, that worries Europe. That worries Poland. And nobody, including the people of Poland, think that if he wins in Ukraine, he's going to stop in Ukraine, that that's going to be the end of it. And so what I can say is, I think I'm the best qualified person to do the job, to make sure that Ukraine does not fall, that Ukraine succeeds, that the European alliance stays strong. You may recall, no one was talking about Finland joining NATO. I remember talking to Putin right after we got elected in Geneva, and he was talking about what we should do. We couldn't be in Eastern Europe, et cetera. And I said, you're looking for the Finlandization of Ukraine, because you're going to get the NATOization of Finland. And about 4 weeks later, I got a call. No, that's not true. Probably 5 months later, from the president of Finland, could he come and see me? In my office. I invited him to the Oval Office. We sat down and talked. He said he wanted to join NATO. Could I help? And I did. It wasn't automatic. And then I got a call from the Swedes. I beg your pardon? And so Finland joined NATO. 800-mile border is a significant, and they were already allies, but they weren't part of NATO. And you heard, I think you heard, maybe, I can't recall what he said in public in our closed meeting, but he wouldn't mind it being repeated. He said, we decided in Finland, the people of Finland decided they had to be part of NATO. It was in our interest because of the joint ability to be together, to dissuade any attack on Finland. And the same thing with Sweden.
It's bad.
There's a lot of selling.
It's bad.
To some folks.
He's rambling.
Particularly in Turkey and other places, to agree to the expansion.
It's pretty bad.
Expanded.
Pretty epically bad.
And we're a hell of a lot stronger because of it. We're more secure because of it. And by the way, I was able to get 50 other nations, 50, to support Ukraine. 50. We were able to bring about a coalition of Europe and Asia, Japan and South Korea. I just we talked about AUKUS, and we talked about the relationship between Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, the United States. We're making the world safer and stronger because we have to deal with the new arrangement that exists in the world. The Cold War is over. The post-war era is over. What is going to replace it?
The post-war.
And I respectfully
Cold War
suggest,
era.
I have a pretty good idea what that should be. I've convinced a lot of people to follow it, and we're just going to get stronger. David Sanger.
Not making much sense.
Where's it?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Be nice, David.
Mr. President, the NATO declaration that was issued yesterday was very notable because it described China as a decisive enabler of the war in Ukraine for its provision of critical goods to the Russians. That's part of a broader partnership that seems to have cemented in place in the past 2 or 3 years. I think one that you were a little bit doubtful of when we asked you about it some time ago. So I'd be interested to know whether you have a strategy now of trying to interrupt the partnership between China and Russia, and whether or not in a second term you would pursue that, if you could describe that strategy to us. And along the way, could you also tell us whether you think, just to follow up on Felicia's question, that if you were in a room with Vladimir Putin again, the way you were 3 years ago, or with President Xi, that a few years from now you will be able to go negotiate with them, handle them one-on-one?
Well, the first part of the question is, we discussed and I raised in the NATO summit, and others raised, the future of China's involvement, what they're going to do, what they're doing with Russia in terms of accommodating.
Did you just burp?
Facilitating them. They're getting access to additional. They're not supplying weapons themselves. They're supplying mechanisms for them to be able to get weapons. And China's position is basically, and I've spent more time with Xi Jinping than any world leader has, over 90 hours since being vice president all the way through, for real. And by the way, I handed all my notes. But my point is that Xi believes that China is a large enough market that they can entice any country, including European countries, to invest there in return for commitments from Europe to do A, B, C, or D, or not to do certain things. What's happened is we had a long discussion about what we have to make clear. China has to understand that if they are supplying Russia with information and capacity, along with working with North Korea and others to help Russia in armament, that they're not going to benefit economically as a consequence of that by getting the kind of investment they're looking for. And so, for example, we're in a situation where we've reestablished
It's just kind of
direct
rambling,
contact with China
right?
after that. Remember the balloon, quote unquote, going down, and all of a sudden things
Can't
came
wait
an
to
end?
see the response to
Well,
this.
we set up a new mechanism. There's a direct line between Xi and me, and our
I can't
military has
follow
direct
what he's
access
saying.
to one another, and they contact one
I'm
another
kind of
when we
tuning
have
it out,
problems.
to be honest.
The issue is that we have to make sure that she understands there's a price to pay for undercutting both the Pacific Basin as well as Europe, and as it relates to Russia and dealing with Ukraine. And so for example, if you want to invest in China, as you know this area really well. If you want to invest in China, you have to have a 51% Chinese owner. You have to make sure that you do by their rules, and you don't have the authority, and you have to provide all access to all the data and information you have. There was a while there, as you recall, the last administration and other administrations, where the access to that market was enticing enough to get companies to come in because they had access to over 1 billion people in the a market, not 1 billion, but a lot of people in the market. And
it is 1
so
billion.
they were doing it. But that got curtailed when we started saying we're going to play by the same rules. For example, the idea they don't abide by the international rules related to subsidizing products by the government funding. So guess what? They're not going to be able to export their electric vehicles to the United States without a significant tariff. Others are doing the same thing around the world. But it is a concern. It is a concern that you have both China, North Korea, Russia, Iran, countries that are not necessarily coordinated in the past, looking to figure out how they can have impact.
Interrupt that impact?
Yes, I do, but I'm not prepared to talk about the detail of it in public. And I think you'll see that some of our European friends are going to be curtailing their investment in Russia. In China, as long as China continues to have this indirect help to Russia in terms of being able to help their economy as well as help them in as a consequence of that their ability to fight in Ukraine. The other thing that we talked a lot about is that, and I raised it, and I didn't hear any. I can't swear that everyone agreed because not everyone got to talk about it. But we need a new industrial policy in the West. For example, we talked about how both the EU as well as NATO has to be able to begin to build their own munition capacity, has to be able to generate their own capacity to provide for weapons and the ability to, it came as a surprise to some of us how we had fallen behind in the West in terms of the ability to construct new material, new weaponry, new everything from vehicles to weapon systems. And so one of the things that came out of this was we're going to be meeting again with a number of my colleagues, my European colleagues, is what do we do to increase the capacity of the West, particularly in Europe and Japan, to be able to generate the kind of ability to produce their own weapon systems. Not just for themselves, but to be able to generate that. It's the same.
Ed
it's what
Krasenstein
Russia's
says
trying to
Biden
figure
is
out. They went
performing
to
very
China,
well.
and they didn't get the weapons, but then they went to North Korea.
Good job, Ed.
But we're going to be in a position where the West is going to become the industrial base for to be able to the ability to have all the defensive weapons that we need. That was a discussion as well.
President, I'm not sure you answered on whether you would be ready to go deal with Putin and Xi 2 or 3 years from now.
I'm ready to deal with them now and 3 years from now. Look,
Ed Krasenstein is out. Biden is performing very well, he says.
Like
He
I
just
said,
froze again.
I'm dealing with Xi right now and direct contact with him. I have no good reason to talk to Putin right now.
What is he talking about?
There's not much that he is prepared to do in terms of accommodating any change in his behavior. And but there isn't any world leader I'm not prepared to deal with. But I understand that the generic point is Putin ready to talk? I'm not ready to talk to Putin unless Putin's ready to change his behavior. And the idea, look, Putin's got a problem. First of all, in this war that he is supposedly have won, and by the way, I think, don't hold me to the exact number, but I think that Russia had 17.3% of Ukraine that they've conquered. Now it's 17.4. I mean, in terms of percentage of territory. They've not been very successful. They've caused horrible damage, loss of life, but they've also lost over 350,000 troops, military, killed or wounded. They have over 1 million people, particularly young people with technical capability, leaving Russia because they see no future there. They've got a problem. But what they do have control of is they are very good at controlling and running the public outcry that relates to how they use mechanisms to communicate with people. They lie like hell to the constituencies. They lie like hell about what's going on. And so the idea that we're going to be able to fundamentally change Russia in the near term is not likely. But one thing for certain, if we allow Russia to succeed in Ukraine, they're not stopping in Ukraine. I recommend, I know you know this because you've written about it, read Putin's speech.
They're suing
after they moved in, what it was all about in Kyiv. It wasn't about just, anyway, read what his objective is. And anyway, but so I think that I'm prepared to talk to any leader who wants to talk, including if Putin called me and wanted to talk. Last time I talked to Putin was trying to get him to work on an arms control agreement related to nuclear weapons in space. That didn't go very far. So my point is, I'm prepared to talk to anybody, but I don't see any inclination. There is an inclination on the part of the Chinese to keep in contact with me because they're not sure where this all goes. And look what's happened in Asia. We have strengthened the Asian Pacific area more than anyone else has. We just put together with today. I brought on. I asked our NATO allies that we bring on the group.
They
from
changed translators
the South Pacific,
again.
Australia,
so weird.
New Zealand.
I don't know why they do
Japan,
that.
Australia. I already mentioned Australia. And I met twice now, I think, with the 14 leaders of the Pacific Island nations. And we've slowed down what's going on there. We've slowed down China's reach. But there's a lot of work to do. This is a moving target, and I don't take it lightly.
I got to get steaks out.
From NPR.
I got to get steaks out. Continue enjoying it.
Thank you, Mr. President. Asma Khalid with NPR. I have two questions. Earlier, you spoke about the ceasefire plan between Israel and Hamas. We're now looking at 10 months of war, and I'm curious if there's anything that you feel personally you wish you would have done differently over the course of the war? And then secondly, if I may, I wanted to ask you about your presidential campaign. I remember covering your campaign in 2020, and there was a moment where you referred to yourself as a, quote, bridge candidacy, a transition to a younger generation of leaders. I want to understand what changed.
Two things. Let's go back to when you talked about would I have changed anything that's happening with Israel and the Palestinians and the Palestinian movement. The answer is, as you recall, from the very beginning, I went to Israel, but I also got immediate contact with al-Sisi in Egypt. I met with the King of Jordan. I met with most of the Arab leaders to try to get a consensus going as to what had to be done to deal with getting more aid and food and medicine into the Gaza Strip. And we pushed it really hard. And Israel occasionally was less than cooperative, number one. The Israeli War Cabinet, I've been dealing with Israel since Golda Meir. I saw some of the reporters around here covering all the time have heard me say this. The first time I met with Golda Meir, I sat across from her at her desk, and her assistant was Rabin sitting next to me. That's how far back I go. I know Israel well, and I support Israel. But this war cabinet is one of the most conservative war cabinets in the history of Israel. And there's no ultimate answer other than a two-state solution here. And so what was able to be done in terms of the plan I put together was it would be a process for a two-state solution. And we get the Arab nations to, particularly from Egypt all the way to Saudi Arabia, to be in a position where they would cooperate in the transition so that they could keep the peace in Gaza without Israeli forces staying in Gaza. The question has been from the beginning, what's the day after in Gaza? And the day after in Gaza has to be, the end of the day after has to be no occupation by Israel on the Gaza Strip, as well as the ability for us to get in and out as rapidly as you can, all that's needed there. I've been disappointed that some of the things
really
that
not
I
in
put
this
forward
game.
have not succeeded as well, like the port reattached from Cyprus. I was hopeful that would be more successful. But that's why when I went to Israel immediately after the massacres that occurred at the hands of Hamas, the one thing I said to the Israelis, and I met with the War Cabinet and with Bibi, don't make the same mistake America made after bin Laden. There's no need to occupy anywhere. Go after the people who did the job. You may recall, I still get criticized for it, but I was totally opposed to the occupation and trying to unite Afghanistan. Once we got bin Laden, we should have moved on because it was not no one's ever going to unite that country. I've been over every inch of that, not every inch, the entirety from the poppy fields all the way to the north. I said, don't make the same mistake we made. Don't think that's what you should be doing, is doubling down. We'll help you find the bad guys, Sinwar and company. And all this criticism about I wouldn't provide when the weapons they needed. I'm not providing them 2,000-pound bombs. They cannot be used in Gaza or any populated area without causing great human tragedy and damage. But remember what happened when you had the attack on Israel with rockets and ballistic missiles. I was able to
Intercontinental
unite the
ballistic
Arab
missiles,
nations as well as Europe, and nothing happened. Nothing got hurt. It sent an incredible lesson to what was going on from the Middle East. So there's a lot of things, in retrospect, I wish I had been able to convince the Israelis to do. But the bottom line is we have a chance now. It's time to end this war. Doesn't mean walk away from going after Sinwar and Hamas. And if you notice, you know better than most, there is a growing dissatisfaction on the West Bank from the Palestinians about Hamas. Hamas is not popular now. And so there's a lot of moving parts. I just have to keep moving to make sure that we get as much done as we can toward a ceasefire, and get those. And by the way, look at the numbers in Israel. I mean, my numbers are better in Israel than they are here. But then again, they're better than a lot of other people here too. But anyway.
Bridge candidacy in 2020. You referred to yourself as being a bridge candidate for a younger, fresher generation of Democratic leaders. And I wanted to know what changed.
What changed was the gravity of the situation I inherited in terms of the economy, our foreign policy, and domestic division. And I think, I won't put words in anybody's mouth. Most presidential historians give me credit for having accomplished more than most any president since Johnson and maybe before that to get major pieces of legislation passed. And what I realized was my long time in the Senate had equipped me to have the wisdom to know how to deal with the Congress to get things done. We got more major legislation passed that no one thought would happen. And I want to finish it, to get that finished. If tomorrow, if we had a circumstance where there was a lineup and I hadn't inherited what I did and we just moved things along, anyway, it's going to change.
Bad.
Last question.
Bad. Pretty bad.
Haley Bull, Scripps.
Last question.
Or no,
okay,
Josh
we're almost
Weinberg.
done with
I'm sorry. Was the next one. I'll do 2 more questions.
2 more questions. Oh, he says he'll
Thank you,
do
Mr.
2.
President. Many of your colleagues, Democrats in the Hill, are watching tonight as they assess
He
what they
extended
want to
it
say about
after
your
they said last
candidacy.
question.
I'm wondering how you're thinking of this right now. It seems like your answer is clear, but they're watching how things go tonight, tomorrow in Michigan, next week in Texas and Nevada. Are you thinking that way about whether how the next week or 2 goes would inform your?
Am I using that way? You said?
Are you thinking that way about how the next 2 weeks go? Will that affect your decision, or are you fully determined on running in November as the party's nominee?
I'm determined on running, but I think it's important that I allay fears by let them see me out there. Let me see them out. For the longest time it was, Biden's not prepared to sit with us unscripted. Biden's not prepared to, anyway. And so what I'm doing is, and I've been doing, I think we've done over 20 major events from Wisconsin to North Carolina to demonstrate that I'm going out in the areas where we think we can win, where we can persuade people to move our way, or people are already there. And then look, the other thing is, we have the most extensive campaign organization of anybody's had in a long, long time. We have well over 1,000 volunteers knocking on doors, making phone calls, making tens of thousands of phone calls. We have headquarters. I forget exactly how many. I want to cite a number and then find out I'm off. But we have scores of headquarters in all the toss-up states. We're organized. We're moving, and that's awful hard to replace. In the near
I got to
term.
listen. I might tune into
So,
MSNBC after
and here's
this
the other thing.
to see what they say.
I was in the Senate a long time. Very proud of what I've done in the Senate. I was chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee for a long time, and I was chairman or ranking member and chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I'm going to be going down to the Johnson Library. Anyway, I'm going to be going around making the case of the things that I think we have to finish and how we can't afford to lose what we've done or backslide on civil rights, civil liberties, women's rights. There's that little button we have.
What?
Control guns, not girls. I mean,
Button
the
we
idea we're sitting around, this is where Kamala's so good as well. We're sitting around, more children are killed by a bullet.
Oh, there we go.
Than any other cause of death. The United States of America. What the hell are we doing?
Angry dementia.
What are we doing? We got a candidate saying, promising, don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything. You got a Supreme Court that is what you might call the most conservative court in American history. This is ridiculous. There's so much we can do still, and I'm determined to get it done. It's about freedom. And by the way, I'll end this. Well, I'm not going to do that. Haley has to come up too. But I remember I made a speech on democracy in Philadelphia at Independence Hall. And I'm not being critical, just observing. The bulk of the press said, what the hell is he talking about that for? Democracy. You did. Democracy is not an issue. Democracy is not an issue. Except the polling data showed 60% of the people knew I was right, thought I was right. I'm not asking you a question. You don't have to answer, obviously. But do you think our democracy is under siege based on this court? Do you think democracy is under siege based on Project 2025? Do you think he means what he says when he says he's going to do away with the civil service, eliminate the Department of Education, make sure? I mean, we've never been here before. And that's the other reason why I didn't, you say, hand off to another generation. I've got to finish this job. I've got to finish this job because there's so much at stake.
We've had some discussions over the past few days with your press secretary about the question of health exams. And you said you take a cognitive test every day in this job. Are you open to taking another physical or test before the election? Governor Whitmer of Michigan, for instance, said it wouldn't hurt to take a test.
Well, look, two things. One, I've taken 3 significant and intense neurological exams by a neurologist. In each case, as recently as February. And they say I'm in good shape, okay? Although I do have a little problem with my left foot because it's not as sensitive because I broke my foot and didn't wear the boot. But I'm good. I'm tested every single day about my neurological capacity to do decisions I make every day. You talk to my staff, all of you talk to my staff. Sometimes my staff talks a lot. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think you have them telling you that all the major ideas we've undertaken haven't been in part initiated by me. I remember with the staff, I said, I'm going to go to South Korea. We're going to get the chip. What are you doing? I'm going to get Japan and Korea back together again after essentially having hostilities toward one another since the end of World War II. I'm going to move and see that we can expand it. You know, the only thing age does is help you with it. It creates a little bit of wisdom if you pay attention. And so the point I'm making is, I think it's important that if the neurologist tells me he thinks I need another exam, and by the way, I've laid every bit of the record out. Hadn't hidden a thing. You ought to ask Trump for his, okay? I laid it all out. And every single day I'm surrounded by good docs. If they think there's a problem, I promise you, or even if they don't think it's a problem, they think I should have a neurological exam again, I'll do it. But no one's suggesting that to me now. And I'll ask you another question. No matter what I did, no one's going to be satisfied. Did you have 7 docs? Did you have 2? Who'd you have? Did you do this? How many times did? So I am not opposed if my doctors tell me I should have another neurological exam, I'll do it. But that's where I am. Haley Bull, Scripps.
Harry Balls.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said you're making decisions on a day-to-day basis when it comes to support for Ukraine. Does that mean you have not closed the door on further considering lifting restrictions for U.S.-made weapons inside Russia? And if I may, your convention is coming up where your delegates are pledged to make you the official nominee. If they have second thoughts, are they free to vote their conscience?
Obviously, they're free to do whatever they want, but I get overwhelming support. Overwhelming support. I won, I forget how many votes I won in the primary. Overwhelming. And so tomorrow, if all of a sudden I show up at the convention, everybody says we want somebody else, that's the democratic process.
Not really.
Even if that means
Whispering Joe.
someone else?
Sure. Look, I'll end this with this. I served in the Senate a long time.
You said that already.
I understand
Like
the
3
impetus
times.
of candidates running for local office and whether they think the topic can help them or not. In my state of Delaware, which was a very, at least it was a red state when I started, in terms of we now talk red and blue. I don't recall most of the Democratic presidents winning my state when I was a candidate. The truth of the matter is I understand the self-interest of a candidate. If they think that, running with Biden at the top is going to hurt them, then they're going to run away. I get it. But so far, go and look at the polling data in their states. Look at the in-depth, and by the way, I think you'd all acknowledge, and you're all experts. I'm not being solicitous about the president. You're experts on this stuff. How accurate does anybody think the polls are these days? I can give you a series of polls where you have likely voters, me versus Trump, where I win all the time. When the unlikely voters vote, he wins sometimes. The bottom line is all the polling data right now, which I think is premature because the campaign really hasn't even started. I mean, it hadn't started in earnest yet. Most of the time, it doesn't start till after September, after Labor Day. So a lot can happen.
I think the campaign started.
But I think I'm the best I believe I'm the best qualified to govern. And I think I'm the best qualified to win. But there are other people who could beat Trump too. But it's awful start from scratch. And, we talk about, money raised. We're not doing bad. We got about $220 million in the bank. We're doing well. So with that, do you have any want to follow up on any of that you just asked me?
Yes. You earlier explained confidence in your vice president.
Yes.
If your team came back and showed you data that she would fare better against former President Donald Trump, would you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. Me. No one's saying that.
No
poll says that.
Whispering Joe.
Okay.
This ends tonight's press conference. Thanks, everybody.
He didn't call on Fox News. He's not leaving. He's not leaving. He's frozen.
In your opening answer, you referred to Vice President Harris as Vice President Trump. Right now, Donald Trump is using that to mock your age and your memory. How do you combat that criticism from tonight?
Listen to him.
This concludes tonight's press conference.
Listen
Thank you,
to him.
everybody. Thanks, everyone.
He finally went off stage. He was frozen though. Okay, so I want to hear what Brian M says. Nate, thanks for the super chat. Says, can I alternate between whispering, stuttering, and angry yelling for the rest of the show? I'll miss Biden when he signs off. So there you go. Let's hear what they're saying on MSNBC. Let me see. Oops. All right, here we go. Hold on. There's no sound, so I'll have to. Oops. There's no sound. Okay, hold on. I just want to hear what they're saying. Oh, they're not gonna. Oh, live stream is concluded. Damn. There's orchestral music playing. Okay. All right, so there you go. That was the press conference. It was really bad. I thought maybe worse than I expected. Maybe. Probably because of the time of night. He didn't start until 7:30. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that. Jeez. So MSNBC isn't doing a live talk about it. NBC Live. Let's see if they say it was really bad. ABC News is live now.
Us inside this campaign.
Well, David, the White House, a source telling me they feel he knocked it out of the park, that he showed certainly his sophistication on a broad range of issues, including fielding all of those foreign policy questions. They feel that he had a good night here. The question is whether any of that is going to be enough, because the president certainly here is digging in. He doesn't seem to want to face that growing chorus of dissenters that we are hearing on Capitol Hill that continues to grow, insisting that, yes, he just needs to continue to show them that he can do this in these unscripted moments. But David, the president dismissing still much of their concern, and those answers have not yet been given to many Democrats.
Rachel Scott live in Washington. You've been chasing down lawmakers.
All right, check out our sale at Truth Revolution Clothing. That's truthclothing.io. We have lots of shirts on sale for prices below $7 and less. Some on some shirts, some are $10, some are sold out. Go ahead and check out our sale, truthclothing.io. And then you can go to sale up here at the top of the screen. Go to sale, and then that'll pull up all the stuff's on sale. But you can get other stuff while you're there too. Like Question Everything shirts aren't on sale, but you might as well pack them in there as long as you're paying for shipping. So lots of shirts for sale. $5, $7, $10, $15 for hoodies. Bitcoin shirts are $5. Pirate Chain shirts are $5. Propaganda. Crypto Future, that's a great shirt, $5. So check it out, $5, $5, $5, $5. So yeah, that's what was going on ABC. Let's see. All right, so we're not going to hear it. They're not saying anything about it. So yeah, it was pretty bad. Casey says, I got a bunch of shirts. Thanks, Nate. Cool. Well, Biden was pretty bad. We covered it. Biden kind of blew it. I think there are going to be more calls for him to drop out now. So we can check out the reaction on Twitter. Let's see. After Biden's speech, these are my thoughts. Here's Krasenstein. It's very evident that Biden's intelligence and smarts are still there. It's also very evident that Biden's speaking ability has slipped substantially more than where it was 4 years ago. If you want to call it a cognitive decline, so be it. With that said, I still believe that Kamala Harris is the better candidate. I think Biden should step down and hand it off to Harris. That's what Ed Krasenstein says. Even though he said it was going really well at first. So Ed Krasenstein says Kamala would be better. Honestly, Biden saying the N-word might be the best play here. Somewhere George Clooney is writing another letter. That's from Zero Hedge. So George Clooney wrote a letter for him to drop out. So here's, oh, I don't think I have audio. I don't think I have audio. I'll play you the clips that are being shared. He said Vice President Trump. Right here.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there. I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there.
I did 2 hours. Holy cow. I guess he talked for like an hour and he was an hour late. So it was pretty bad, pretty bad. Pictured Vice President Trump and President Putin. Oops. Yeah. He introduced Zelensky as Putin. He introduced my numbers in Israel are better than they are here. He said that.
I mean, my numbers are better in Israel than they are here. But then again, they're better than a lot of other people here too. But anyway, I mean, I'm.
He's, but anyway. And then the whispering. Okay, so there you go. That was the show. I got you guys through it. Thanks for the super chats. I got like a number of super chats. Brian M, Job for 9, threw down a bunch of dough. Thanks, guys, for the super chats. Appreciate it. Good to be live again. And I think I'll be I think that's the end of the show. It was bad. It was bad. It wasn't good. People are going to call for him to drop out. That's what's going to happen. So, all right, cool. Thanks, guys. 2 hours is good. I'm going to tune into some feeds and see what the response is. But it was, I think, really bad. Even though the White House is saying it was good, it was pretty bad. So I think there'll be more calls for him to drop out tomorrow. That was his big boy press conference. It didn't go very well, I don't think. Thanks, Top Feed. Appreciate it. It says, congrats on your car sales. Thanks, man. Now I got to sell some more. Go to the store, go to truthclothing.io, buy some shirts, and we'll see you at the next one, probably in about a week, if I can do it. Yeah, we might be live about a week from now. Wednesday or Thursday are the days I'm usually off. All right, guys. So I will see you. For now, that's what it is.